Good morning, everyone. It's another edition of A Moment of Hope with Upward Transitions. This morning, we have our very own CEO, Periann Pulliam.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
Periann has finished her very first full plus fiscal year as CEO of Upward Transitions. So we're just going to pick her brain a bit. So this has been an interesting time to be in this role. You didn't know all of this was going to happen when you took this role. So just give us an overview of your time as CEO.
Initially it was a really easy transition for me. Having come off being the Chief Operations Officer, there wasn't a lot of new to learn, but I had a lot of things that I wanted to do differently than what we had been doing in the past, namely hiring you. That was my biggest priority when I took the position in April of 2019, and so we did an extensive search, and I really felt for us to move to the next level, having someone focusing on marketing and development was going to be critical, and we were so thrilled to find you and bring you into our team. From there, everything kind of went nuts. You started in September, and we had a wonderful holiday season, and
we did.
Started 2020 off beautifully, and then fourth quarter, things went a little haywire for the entire world. And I have to say, our team is amazing. They jumped to action and figured out what we needed to do to make sure that we were providing the assistance to our community. It was different than what we had been doing. We always have done a little bit of homeless prevention, but we knew very quickly that the need for assistance with rent and utilities was going to become tremendous for especially people working in the retail industry, restaurants, and they were losing their jobs, they were losing their paychecks, and we didn't want to see these families and seniors and individuals become homeless. So we jumped into action. And just during the fourth quarter alone, we helped about 200 families with rent and utilities to help them avoid being evicted.
And how's that compared to a normal period of time?
A normal period of time, the previous year we helped 350 families total, the entire previous year. So we helped a lot of families in a very short period of time with what we really called emergency relief. They had nowhere to go, unemployment checks weren't coming in, they weren't getting their stimulus checks, and they had rent coming due for April and May. And so we jumped in and helped out with the generosity of United Way, Central Oklahoma, and a generous grant from them. And also a little bit of labor help from our friends at Sunbeam Family Services, who loaned us some staff members to help us do the work, because we have 9 employees, and trying to help 200 families in a matter of 3 months was taxing. So we got a little bit of help from them, and they were incredibly generous to literally loan them to us.
Yeah, so they're really great partners.
They are great partners. We have so many great partners.
We do.
We're so lucky.
Yeah, it's a whole network of people that do this work.
Well, and you'll hear me say this time and time again, we do not do this work alone. We do a certain part of homeless prevention. We do a certain part of homeless services, but we have to have those partner agencies doing other pieces. Mental health care, substance abuse, domestic violence. A lot of things that we know our clients need can be served by other organizations. So we take it very seriously to collaborate with those other agencies to make sure people are getting the full scope of those wraparound services that they need.
Yeah. Nobody can do it by themselves.
No.
So you've actually been with Upward Transitions for 11 years.
Yes.
You just celebrated your 11th anniversary. So do you have a favorite story or time from those 11 years that you want to share that's appropriate for our viewing audience?
I have 2 that I'm going to share because I have two different lives at Upward Transition. My first life was as director of volunteers for our Travelers Aid program at the airport, and that was a most wonderful experience. The volunteers who serve our community at the airport are amazing. Their hearts are tremendous. They love this community. They love being at the airport. They love helping people. So I absolutely adore that crowd and try to get with them and get hugs as often as I can. having withdrawals right now because
I
we
know.
didn't get to have our spring meeting.
No.
So I didn't get my hug fixed, but we have Zoom meetings that I try to pop in on and visit with them. And once in a while they'll call me, so I still get to talk to them.
Yes.
But Crystal Levine, who's our volunteer, takes wonderful care of them. And I'm so glad because, you know, they're my guys.
Yeah.
So my first story is going to be an airport story.
Okay.
One of my all-time favorite stories at the airport was, I think I may have been working with Tommy and Gary Rankin, and we got a phone call, and Gary answered the call, and he turns to me and goes, "Boss, I don't know. I think you need to take this." And I'm like, okay. So the caller was a young lady who was coming to the airport to meet her father. She's from Australia, and he was coming in from Australia to visit her. And she wanted to know if she could wear a kangaroo costume to meet her dad.
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
A full-on
Full-on pouch kangaroo.
to the airport.
To the airport. And I thought to myself, this is a little beyond what I ought to answer. So I made a phone call or two and got a hold of security, and they said, well, okay, that's the first time we've had that question. So the answer was, we're okay with it. She let us know in advance, tell us specifically where she will be waiting, and tell her to stay in that area. We don't need a kangaroo. And we're talking, you know, a
roaming around the airport.
Roaming around the airport, go to the city. So she stayed in one very particular position and hopped up and down with a sign greeting her father. So that is my favorite airport story. So yeah, I still laugh about that. So my favorite upward transition story, this is really a story that has happened more than one time, multiple times. It happens pretty regularly, is a case manager will give me a shout and say, hey, we've got a client up front who'd like to talk to you. Sometimes it's good stuff, sometimes it's not so good stuff. But when I go up there and I see a client standing there and they're holding their new ID, and they come to me and they say, hey, you guys help me do this. I'm somebody now. And I've had that happen more than one time. That reminds me why we do what we do. Because they weren't ever not somebody, but we gave them that piece of plastic that they can take out in the world and accomplish things. They can get work, they can get employment, housing, all kinds of wonderful things. So that is a story that happens over and over again. And that's my favorite. I love telling that story.
We just forget how much we use those simple documents, and you know, when somebody asks me about what we do, you know, they're like, what? Okay, a driver's license, a state ID, big. Some of them are like, big deal. I'm like, no, it really is a big deal. You know, when you see the change in attitude and mood and whatever. And so yes, you're exactly right. It adds confidence when you can go out in the world and you're like, I have what I need to take that next step. That's exactly, I've seen it.
And for most of us, getting our birth certificate or a legal document is no big deal. We can call mom and have her send it to us, or we can fill out the paperwork and submit it because we know all the information about your history. We can write a $20 check, whatever it takes. It's not that big of a challenge for us.
Right.
For a lot of the people we serve, they can't call a family member and just ask them to send that. And they may not be able to understand the document that needs to be filled out. So they need someone to help. And they certainly may not have the $20 to pay for it. Yeah. So all those things added together, and working in collaboration with those other partner agencies, because these clients are working with other agencies to improve their situation. We know by getting this piece of the puzzle, it can all start to come together.
So we can already tell, you not only have you had a long tenure here, but you have this innate passion for what we do at Upward Transitions. Where does that come from?
I think it comes from watching my parents as I was growing up. My parents were in the hospitality industry and worked nights a lot. We had a big family. They got married when they were teenagers. I have 5 brothers and sisters. 5 brothers and sisters, that's always hard to say. There's 6 of us. But there were times where, I know my parents struggled to pay the rent, to keep the utilities on. But even during those times that were stressful for my parents to make ends meet, they always had the ability to help others. I remember many times in my life that, us kids would, 3 or 4 of us would move into one room together so that they could let another couple stay with us for a few weeks while they were getting back on their feet. And I just always thought to myself, wow, that's pretty amazing to be that generous of heart to help other people when we're not living high on the hog, as my dad would say.
Right.
But we always had everything we needed. We had a roof over our heads, we had food, we had clothes, we went to school clean. And I see a lot of kids don't have those advantages. And to me, that speaks to me, is making a difference for children. Generational poverty, that's the bottom line for us. And if we can do one little thing that changes the life for a child and they can have a different future, that's what we're here to do. And every person you meet at Upward Transitions will tell you that, I think. We have a soft spot for the kids. It's like, if the need of the parent doesn't necessarily meet our guidelines, the moment someone tells me, well, they have a kid, suddenly the whole guideline changes. Because I want to make sure the children have that advantage, because they can't do for themselves. They have to have us helping them. So I think that's where it comes from, just from my upbringing and seeing what happens when you just give somebody a little help.
So what would you say Upward Transition's greatest need is right now to do our work?
Our greatest need right now is time and people and money. All those things together, the need in the community is tremendous. The phone calls we receive, we simply do not have enough funding to help everyone who needs help with rent. There are a lot of other agencies out there right now doing the work of homeless prevention.
And it's more now than, I mean, like in the almost year I've been here, it's more.
Oh, tremendously.
I mean,
Typically, we've been one of a few doing homeless prevention. Yeah. And now a lot of agencies that have done rapid rehousing and rehousing people who are already homeless are helping with prevention because the number that need help. And the funding is there. The CARES Act has provided a lot of wonderful funding in the community. And when I applied for the money with United Way to help with rent and utilities, one of the questions they asked in the application was, how are you to ensure that you're not duplicating efforts being done by others in the community? I'm like, I'm not, because we all need to be doing this work. There's that much need. We'll make sure we're not helping the same people again and again, but we will ensure that as many people need the help. And what we're seeing getting ready to happen this Friday, on July 25th, the federal moratorium on evictions are coming up. That's going to end. It's going to be lifted, and then landlords in the next 30 days will be able to then actually file eviction on tenants who are behind on the rent. So in September, we're going to see a lot of evictions increase.
Yeah. This is when we're really going to see the economic fallout of this health crisis.
Yeah, there's been enough help to kind of keep most people fairly stabilized up to this point, and that moratorium has helped. Who knows how many people? It's a number we can't count. We don't know how many in our community have remained housed because of the moratorium. Well, now that it's lifted, that's going to change. We're going to see evictions go up very quickly. I know there are so many resources in the community. The Community Cares Partnership is helping with a lot of the state and city cares money in collaboration with Legal Aid Services of Oklahoma. They're meeting people at the courthouse, helping mediate between the landlord to come to an agreement so that we can keep people housed. But at this point, we may have folks that are being evicted that have 6 months worth of rent that they're behind, because this is, I think, drug on longer than any of us really thought this was going to happen. And we don't know what the future's going to hold. We could see a lot more of this. I don't think it's going to go away September 1st.
Yeah. So, while we don't have very many volunteers opportunity, we don't have any volunteer opportunities for people to come in and organize our pantry or anything like that. The biggest need that you can do for someone in Oklahoma County right now is, if you have the means, you can step up and help them avoid eviction, because that is coming Friday. We know that the wave is going to begin. And so we don't know how big the wave is going to be. And so if you want to donate to Upward Transitions, that is amazing because we are right here on the front lines of that. If you want to learn more about what's happening with this CARES collaborative, you can ask us about that. But just know that we are part of the conversation, and it is happening, and this is going to be the next big conversation about this eviction stuff. So, Miss Strategic Planner, Miss Boss Lady, what do you expect to see from Upward Transitions in the next 12 months?
I'm right in the middle right now of hiring 2 new employees to help specifically with CARES Act rent and utilities through the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. And so we will be able to, so in my mind right now, I'm focused on getting this program off the ground. But I see us just focusing on tapping into as many ways as possible to help the community, to try to anticipate what their needs are going to be. We know it's more than rent and utilities. We know food insecurities are there, transportation's there. So we are setting things up, planning everything to make sure that if we can help with those resources, that we're there to do it, and getting our case managers in place to be prepared to help. So obviously part of our strategic planning is fundraising. It's going to look very different this year. We had to cancel our major event, and if you usually come to American Tourist, I know you missed it as much as we did, but we have rescheduled it for May 7th. Yes, the theme is an American Tourist in Paris. We've already have the graphics ready and the location, so mark your calendar. Please plan to come. It'll be fun. We hope that it's all going to come together and that we'll be able to throw our event, because that's our opportunity to see the people who support us face to face in a large crowd, and just it's fun and it's purposeful and it really supports our mission. So we're hopeful that that will absolutely happen this year. So keep us in your mind. Come down, join us. Watch out, Mike is doing all kinds of amazing little marketing things. We have
just participate with us.
In all of them. Just hang out.
Eat some pizza, buy some jewelry, do some things.
That's right. We have all kinds of fun things. So a way to engage with our supporters, and if you're stuck at home quarantining, helping you maybe get out a little bit and participate in the community, because I know that's hard on everyone. I haven't been stuck at home. I've been coming to work every day since this began. So my life hasn't changed all that much, except for I've been really busy at work. So for those of you who are stuck at home, I'm so sorry for that.
Hopefully we brought you a little bright sunshine today. So again, if you have any questions about the work that we do, or you want to participate in any way, you can always reach out to us. This is just the beginning of another year of amazing work from Upward Transitions. And, every day is a new day. We're learning as we go with the, COVID-19, and learning about what the eviction crisis will bring to us. And so please reach out and if you want to be a part of that, or just learn about generational poverty in general in our area. It's always good to be educated about what's going on around you. So we really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much, Periann.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so we're going to get back to work here, and we hope you will join us next Tuesday for another moment of hope.